everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today we're here to talk about the latest film from Kelly Fremon Craig. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, some tech and game reviews along the way, and now we do podcasts. If you're a fan of all that, then this is the channel for you, and nothing helps this channel out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is the latest film from Kelly Fremon Craig, and it's her first film since 2016 with Edge of 17, which I thought was a phenomenal film. That's the only reason I actually went and saw this film. I went into this film completely blind. I had heard of the book that Judy Blume wrote because I did some research into that book and how she had been receiving offers for almost 50 years to have that book adapted into a film, but she finally sold the book to James L. Brooks. James L. Brooks is the guy who gave us such films as Terms of Endearment and Broadcast News, and he's also one of the people who really is a big writer on The Simpsons. So James L. Brooks has got his fingers all over the place, the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So the two of them, James L. Brooks was a producer on The Edge of 17, like I said, a phenomenal film that starred Haley Steinfeld and Woody Harrelson. And I really thought that when Kelly Fremon Craig made that movie that she was going to become one of our new great directors. I actually had only found out about that film from another YouTube critic at the time called Jeremy Johnson. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. He's like the king of movie reviews here on YouTube. And he recommended that film, and I went into that one completely blind. And that became one of my favorite coming-of-age films ever. So I couldn't wait for her to make another film, and it took us 7 years to finally get this film. And you know what? What a damn good follow-up. It's almost as good, if not as good, as Edge of 17. It's still a great coming-of-age drama, just like The Edge of 17 was. But this one, it's definitely a little more fine-tuned, and it's definitely dealing with a lot more taboo subject matter, especially from the time. This movie takes place in 1970. The book came out in the 70s, and actually this book was banned in certain areas because it's dealing with such taboo subjects as girls getting their period or younger girls talking about sex and just coming of age. You know, these are things that people don't feel comfortable talking about. And lately we've been getting a lot better with this. Last year we got Turning Red from Pixar. So we have been dealing with a lot of coming of age films about younger girls. You know, the lead character in this film is played by Abby Ryder Fortson. She's Margaret. Her and her family, her parents are played by Rachel McAdams and Benny Safdie of the Safdie brothers, which I was surprised as hell to see him in this movie. This guy with this crazy mind who gave us, you know, he's one half of the Safdie brothers who gave us Uncut Gems, these movies that just give you a panic attack while watching it. He plays this loving dad in this movie, and I was like, wow. Benny Safdie could really act. I really enjoyed his character in this movie. He's not the biggest part in this movie. This movie's really dealing with the mother-daughter relationship of Rachel McAdams and her daughter, Margaret. And they do a really good job of concentrating on that relationship. And they also concentrate on her relationship with her new group of friends because they just moved from New York City to New Jersey. So she's got to adapt to this, to living in the suburbs now. She doesn't get to see her grandmother, played by Kathy Bates, who is Benny Safdie's mother in this movie. She doesn't get to see her as much. And it's just about, you know, this one school year. She's finally becoming a woman. It's about womanhood, growing into becoming a woman, you know, dealing with relationships with boys, your first kiss, getting your period, all of that, while also dealing with her trying to discover her spirituality. Her mother is a raised Christian, her father is Jewish, and actually that caused problems in the relationship with their parents. I'm not going to dive more into that because that's a big part of the book, but it's dealing with Margaret's spirituality and how she hasn't picked religion due to her father being Jewish and her mother being Christian. They have let her choose for her own. Even though she still speaks to God, she actually doesn't conform to any religion yet. She actually, through this movie, we see her going to all different types of churches or temples, trying to see maybe which one is going to make her get that feeling of like God. Like, she hasn't felt it yet. She hasn't had that come to God moment or anything like that. So she's trying to find that. So she's trying to search for that while trying to navigate her 12-year-old 6th grade year life. And the movie itself is just, it's great. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. This and Air are probably my top 2 films of the year. This one is more of a straightforward coming of age comedy drama. It takes place in the 1970s, and they did a great job of nailing that period, I think. The costumes all match up pretty well. All the characters do a great job. All the actors in this movie do a great job. One thing I've noticed about Kelly Fremon Craig through both of her movies, she does concentrate on a relationship between the lead character and their teacher. In the first one was Haley Steinfeld and Woody Harrelson. This time we're dealing with Abby Ryder Fortson and her relationship with her new teacher, who's also a first-year teacher, played by Echo Kellum. And in the small role he has, it's very similar to the size role that Woody Harrelson had in Edge of 17. You know, he doesn't pop up much, but when he does a great job acting. I love their relationship. This movie is a very feel-good movie. You're going to feel great coming out of it. You know, even if the taboo subject matter may make some people a little bit uncomfortable, which I don't understand why, but if it does, it's still a great feel-good film. You know, that's what you get James L. Brooks for. He does make just one of those movies that even if the subject matter can seem a little dark at times, it's still, you come out of it feeling good. This is a guy who came from the world of sitcoms, so he's got that beautiful score intertwined. Hans Zimmer actually did the score for this, speaking of the score. So when he attaches the producer credit, you can see his fingerprints on this. I feel like this is a very similar film to Kelly Fremon Craig's first film, and that is not a knock against it. She's 2 for 2 for me. Both of her movies have both been just amazing films that I will come back to. Some of the best coming-of-age movies that you'll see. It's really a mother-daughter movie, so if you're a mother out there, you have a teenage daughter, this is the perfect trip to the movies for you guys. But even if you're not, I just still think it's a great film, one that you should see, one that if any teenager really should check out. But, it helps to feel like, you're included. Everyone's going through those growing pains of being a teenager, going through puberty. We all remember that. Even if we're older now and we kind of feel like we don't, it's like when you watch this movie, it's like I'm opening that door again and it all comes rushing back like, oh yeah, I remember all that. I remember the acne or people picking on me or just feeling completely awkward. All that is in this movie. It's another great movie from Kelly Fremon Craig. I'm hoping that we don't have to wait another 7 years for her next film, but you never know, and if we do, I'll be there day one like I was for this film, and I'm hoping I'll have just as good a time. If I'm going to rate this film out of 10, I'm going to give this film a really solid 9 out of 10. It's one of the best films of 2023 so far, and I can highly recommend that you check this out in theaters. But before we get out of here today, guys, it's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. So every Friday, me or Matt will ask you guys 2 questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions, and then we will put your name on a magic wheel. In Monday's video, we spin that wheel 2 times, and then you have your choice of these digital codes that you see on your screen before you today. So what are this week's 2 questions? Well, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is a coming-of-age drama or comedy. I would say coming-of-age dramedy. So I would say, what is your favorite coming-of-age film? That could be any film that's ever come out that deals with the subject of coming-of-age. Some of these movies, back in the 80s, John Hughes was the king of these movies, so there are plenty of options for coming-of-age films for you guys to choose from. And then the second question I wanted to ask you, since we know this is kind of like a comedy in ways, I want to ask you guys, what is your favorite comedy since 2003? That's 20 years ago, so what are your favorite comedies that have come out in the last 20 years? I feel like comedy films just don't come to theaters enough anymore, and I'm hoping, maybe in the near future, we can lighten up the reins a little bit and we can get back to getting studio comedies in theaters, because when I was growing up, we used to get like one of those a week, and I was always usually into them. I was a big fan of this dumb comedy, they call it, with the Will Ferrells and Jim Carreys. Those were like my idols growing up, and I just love those types of comedies, and we just don't get them anymore, and I would love for us to get more going forward, but that's the way the world works. So the questions are for this week: what is your favorite coming-of-age film, and what is your favorite comedy film in the last 20 years? Just make sure you leave that comment in the comment section below, and don't forget to come back to Monday's video where we will spin that wheel and see who our 2 lucky winners are. So thank you guys so much for being here on another episode of Let's Talk With Me. I hope you guys all enjoy your weekend. Maybe check this film out, and if you do, let us know what you thought of it in the comment section below, so maybe we could chat about that. And then while you're down there, nothing helps this channel out more than by you just simply liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and then after you're done doing all that, I want you to go out for a nice jog in the beautiful sunny weather and tell all your friends about us. We'll be seeing you around.